First it was Fang Fang, then that cringe taco TikTok, and now Eric Swalwell is trying to win you over by dropping mother F-bombs on the Breakfast Club while avoiding any culpability for the Biden cognitive decline, big lie, and cover-up. How on brand. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube show at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. The show starts now. Well, another day, another desperate Democrat trying to raise the bar of party-wide cringe. Yesterday, I subjected your eyes to this endearing little TikTok from Congressman Eric Swalwell, attempting to be hip and cool while munching on a Taco Bell taco. He thought he was dunking on President Trump, but anyone who watched it, sound on or off, knows he dunked on himself. But since Swalwell must subscribe to the old PR notion that all press is good press, he's decided to just keep going, to just keep making an ass out of himself in hopes you might find it cute. He joined the Breakfast Club table this week, just as I did the week prior, and instead of answering Charlemagne's direct and thoughtful question on Biden's cognitive decline, Swalwell did this.
Why should we ever trust the Democratic Party after they lied to us so long about President Biden? And I'm big on this because I just read the original sentence. I'm just like, I don't see. I think that Democrats have tried every strategy except for two things: honesty and courage.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who are courageous right now in the Democratic Party. Our bread and butter issue, our dance with the one that brought you, is healthcare. People have always trusted us on healthcare. That's our issue, from President Johnson to President Obama to when Donald Trump tried to take it away. That's how we won the House in 2018. And now this reconciliation bill is going to take 14 million people off their healthcare. We're not only going to protect healthcare, because I think protecting healthcare is not enough. We need to invest in cures. And these motherfuckers are firing cancer doctors. So we have a real clean contrast. We're for cures, they're for cancer, right? That's why you should trust us, because 40% of Americans are going to get a phone call from a doctor to say, I'm sorry, you have cancer.
In case you forgot, he was asked about the big Biden cover-up, and he instead went into this little fictitious rant about how Republicans want you to die from cancer. And just to throw us off the scent even more, he threw in an MFer so he could look cool in front of Charlemagne. Is this guy for real? Like, for real? For real? Joining me now with his best guess as to what the hell even was that, Chairman of Veterans on Duty, my friend Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy, I'm watching that. He was asked directly about the Biden cover-up, and then he went into, the old favorite, Republicans want you to die from cancer. And then he threw out an MFer because he had to look cool in front of Charlemagne the God. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, you could just see his wheels spinning. He's like, okay, what do I do when I'm asked a direct question on something that I know I don't have a good answer for? Oh, let me just start throwing out some random Democrat taglines about how Republicans want you to have cancer. I mean, it was so absurd. Another part of the clip, too, he started talking about how he was, he wears as a badge of honor that Republicans criticize him over, being susceptible to a Chinese spy campaign.
I'm glad that you brought that up. We have it. Let's play it now.
Did the Chinese spy scandal hurt your credibility, or did Republicans just weaponize like a nothing burger, so to speak?
The fact that the FBI and the House Ethics Committee said it was bullshit, I would hope that would be enough, but in a disinformation society, I recognize that it's everyone on the right's favorite meme. My wife tells me all the time, you know what? The second they're not going after you, you're not effective. Mm-hmm. And so I wear it as a badge of honor that these guys would want to lie about me all the time, because I think it means that I'm landing punches politically on them that sting. And frankly, I think a lot of Republicans look at me as like, oh, that's a straight, white, Christian male, son of a cop. Like everyone else like him looks like me. So when he comes at me, it's more betrayal to them.
Wow, he sure thinks highly of himself, to your point. And yeah, it's a badge of honor to allegedly sleep with a Chinese spy. Yeah, you brought it up. That whole thing, that whole interview to me was just so embarrassing, hard to watch, really.
It really is. You can see him just like grasping at straws to try to stay relevant. And then, yeah, I mean, this line about, the Chinese, this is just a meme that Republicans use. It wasn't a meme. It actually happened. Eric Swalwell was the target of a Chinese spy campaign, did not suss it out, and really, fed into the hand of the Chinese Communist Party. And by the way, for a sitting member of Congress to try to dismiss this as a kind of a joke or it's funny, no, the Chinese Communist Party is still doing these types of activities in our country. And thankfully, President Trump has gotten a lot of that under control. But I mean, I'll give you just one example. I mean, we saw the Chinese spy balloon. We saw the spy base off of the coast of Florida that's now expanding. I mean, even more recently, I saw this recently. They did a congressional hearing on this. The Chinese Communist Party are now have the capability to tap into everyday Americans' Wi-Fi routers. Literally, a Wi-Fi router, they can use that, and they can use that. They call it pre-positioning, and they can literally use your Wi-Fi router at home to disguise as a normal everyday citizen and then hack into American infrastructure, to our water infrastructure, transportation. I mean, it's insane. And this is a company called TP-Link that's manufactured in China, founded by two brothers who are in China. I mean, all this stuff is wide open. You can see that. As I mentioned, there's been many reports on it. But the Chinese party is still making a lot of kind of intelligent spy campaigns against Americans on American soil.
They tried to bring in here. They tried to bring in some fungus
That's exactly right.
Disrupt our food supply. Is coming through. Oh, we're just going to study this fungus at the University of Michigan or something. My girlfriend works there. They uncover all this information that these are loyalists to the Communist Party trying to bring in fungus to kill us all and all of our livestock. Like, you're right, it's never ending. And then you also have TikTok, of course, which is the ultimate spy machine. But, Swalwell thinks it's funny. It's a badge of honor that a Chinese spy would sleep with him. And I guess for him, maybe it is. Maybe that is an accomplishment. I don't know. I don't know his barometer.
Perhaps. I mean, and I saw that too about the fungus. I mean, the FBI has been on that. I mean, looking at this, trying to see what are they doing. They're buying up our land. And so for Eric Swalwell, for someone who should care about these issues, who should care about the security of everyday Americans, and he dismisses this as a Republican smear campaign. No. This was actually well documented. It was clear. It's a huge embarrassment for him. And you'd think he'd have better PR people to kind of come up with a better line of attack. I mean, it's been several years now, and the best he can come up with is, I wear it as a badge of honor. He probably needs to find a new PR person.
Well, not only that, the PR person who told him, hey, Eric, what you should do is you should go into the Breakfast Club, which is a hip hop urban radio talk show / podcast for iHeart. I would know because I was there a week ago. Right.
And you did great, by the way. I mean,
Jeremy, did you notice?
True to yourself, you killed it.
I don't want to pat myself on the back for it because I just went in and had a great conversation, right? But how disingenuous would it have been if I would have walked into the Breakfast Club as Tomi Lahren, right, a white girl who does conservative media for a living? If I would have walked in and dropped MFer and this is BS, and I would have started saying swear words, or I would have dressed and tried to that was his best attempt, by the way, at looking hip and cool, was the little, zip up from LL Bean and his hat and his Dunkin' Donuts coffee. That was his best attempt to try to look normal or urban. But I can't help but think that he went into that I'm going to try to play this part like I'm this cool guy. I'm going to sit across from Charlemagne the God and I'm going to say MFer because that's going to make me look cool. I think it's actually really condescending to the platform. I went in there and I wore a blazer and I wore what I would wear to go to Fox News because I went to Fox News right afterwards. I didn't try to be something I'm not. I didn't walk in there trying to look like Jenny from the block. What was he trying to do?
Well, you were yourself, right? You were being your authentic self, the same and I can attest to this. We've been on the air together. You're the same person on camera and off camera. That's what people want to hear, right? People want to talk to people who are real. And Eric Swalwell, like a lot of Democrat leaders right now, are just trying to put on this kind of performance and trying to pretend to be someone and trying to act. I'm the straight white male son of a cop. I guess that's his kind of lane he's trying to carve for himself now. I'm the normal guy that the Democrats can get behind. Americans can see right through that. Even people who aren't even into politics, who are just listening to the Breakfast Club, they can see right through that. I mean, it's clear as day that this is a performance for him. And you'd think that in his position, he'd get back to, policy making, getting back to actually making things happen in Congress. But he has not had much success there either.
No, but it's also really stupid. And to me, it's really condescending that he goes in there and he's asked about the cognitive decline and he won't give a straight up answer on it. He won't even mention it. He won't say anything about it. He completely avoided the question, right? But then he went into what I think is really condescending on the Breakfast Club to sit there with an audience that's kind of a hip hop urban audience. Obviously, they have many members of their audience that are not hip hop urban, but predominantly like that's the lane, right? And sit there and be like, well, they want you all to die from cancer. They're going to take your health care away and we're going to stand up for your health care. When I listened to it, like I thought it was really condescending of him to speak that way, not only because he completely avoided the question, but it always has to go back to like, well, the Republicans want to take something from you. You're actually victims and we're standing up for you. You know, we're the white liberal saviors that's going to come save your audience. I was actually a little taken aback by that. I thought it was really insulting, to be honest.
Yeah, but he thinks that the whole audience listening to that show, that everyone's just gullible. They'll just take whatever talking points that he'll feed to them. And so when you have Charlemagne ask an honest question, and by the way, he prefaced it by saying, I wish the Democrat Party would just be honest and courageous. You know, he was talking about that. And then here you go, Eric Swalwell, who does the exact opposite, who just repeats, this whatever, poll tested tagline that he has about, Republicans just want you to get cancer. I mean, it's a terrible line of attack. People can see through it. And I think that's why you're seeing, Eric Swalwell, and people are making fun of him all over. I've seen people even from the left taking shots at him just from how embarrassing he's been to himself and to his party, honestly.
So embarrassing. Well, he's not the only one, right? The original at least this year, is Jasmine Crockett. And she announced that she's officially running for a ranking member position, House Oversight. Listen, anybody can run for anything. And, anybody has the right to do that. But I think she's really trying to position herself as a leader of the Democrat Party. And I guess in some ways, maybe she is right now. Do you think that they're going to embrace Jasmine Crockett or voices like Jasmine Crockett's, the AOCs, the Rashida Tlaib, the Ilhan Omar, the more extreme part of that party? Is that what they're going to embrace going into 26 and 28, do you think?
I mean, look, I think that there's going to be a lot of infighting on the left about the way forward, what to do. And, I think they would be smart to at least think about why Jasmine Crockett has become so popular on the left. And the reason why she's become so popular is because she is the embodiment of leftist ideology. I mean, everything is about race. Everything is about the government. And your everyday Americans they think differently from you, are an enemy of yours. And if these evil Trump voters just want to put us, as Joe Biden said, put us all back in chains, right? I mean, like, she's the embodiment of modern leftist ideology. Honestly, I told my wife the other day, I was like, she's like the Black Frankenstein of the left. I mean, she really is. She's what they believe. So honestly, maybe they should see, like, well, is there something wrong with our policies? Is this why someone like this has taken off, has gotten so much steam, has gotten so much attention recently on the left? They should probably have some inward-looking conversations with themselves to see why someone like her is now, taken off so quickly. And I think it's because she is, I'll give her this. She's authentic. She's herself. And she is true to the Democrat core. I actually think that she is that woman. I mean, I think she sounds like that. I think she acts like that. I don't know her personally, but I'm just like, looking at her and listening to her talk, I think that she honestly believes that, everyone is out to get her because of her race or because of all these other things. I mean, it's a strong, for those of us on the right, we see this as ridiculous, but I do think she's a true believer in that sense. And I do think that she is someone who is people look at and say, wow, she just talks out of her mouth, doesn't think before she speaks, and some people like that. And I think that is honestly why the left they're looking at their own Frankenstein creature. When you have years of identity politics, what you get is Jasmine Crockett.
I believe that she believes the things that she says, but I think she certainly plays up the ghetto speak for a reason. And I think she loves the attention more so than she loves any legislative accomplishment, because I can't point to any legislative accomplishment that she's ever made. I do want to turn to our own party now, because I want to get your take on that. We have a little infighting too. I don't think it's, as big of a deal as the left wishes it were. But we've got Elon Musk, who's coming out against the big, beautiful bill, tweeting about it pretty honestly, like, this thing is trash, this thing is garbage. And when asked about it, Caroline Leavitt repeated what we kind of already knew, is that President Trump supports this bill, and respects Elon Musk, in his opinion, but it's not going to change the president's position on this. He's not the only one. Obviously, you've got Senator Rand Paul, others that are like, hey, this thing is too bloated. This isn't doing what we said we were going to do. Some things are good, but like we're spending too much. So where do you line up on it? Do you think that they just need to pass this sucker, or do you think it needs some work?
I mean, well, first off, I hate to see a lot of the infighting spilling out into media. I mean, Elon Musk, President Trump just did this, really nice presser for him last week, and kind of his farewell little presser he did in the Oval Office. President Trump has not said anything negatively about Elon Musk or anything that he's done. But then you see, Musk kind of taking the lead on trashing this bill. So I wish that a lot of that just stayed, Elon Musk was in the room, right? I mean, he's had a lot of influence. He's had an outsized voice in this administration. Why don't you have those conversations when the sausage is being made, so to speak, and behind closed doors, and talking through things to actually get things done? I don't understand the immediate rush that once he leaves the White House, you rush and put things on Twitter or on X, and you start going to liberal news outlets saying that this bill is trash. I mean, that could just be me. I'm an Army guy. I believe in loyalty. Of course, it's country over party, and that's important to me. But I just think that if you're going to work for someone and work in the White House this long, have this much access, I would like to have seen less of this kind of attacks, playing out in the public.
Yeah, I go kind of both ways on it. I appreciate when there's dialogue within the Republican Party, because that's something that the left does not have. Right? Like, sure. They all have to fall in line. They have to all fall in line with the narrative. If you don't, even if you say boys shouldn't be in girls' sports, you get eviscerated for it. Like, it's a real groupthink thing. So I think Elon Musk coming out and being like, hey, this bill is too big. It's too bloated. I wanted something that was scaled down. I'm okay with him saying that, because I think it shows that there can be a diversity of opinion, even within the same administration, within the same party. So I like that part of it. I happen to also think that the bill could have done better in cutting some things down, but I think that a lot of Republicans don't want to make the cuts that they know that they need to make, because they're afraid of midterms, and they don't want the ads to be running saying that they cut healthcare and they cut Medicaid and they cut all this stuff. Even if it's just cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, they know it's going to be weaponized. So I don't think it's necessarily a testament to Republican courage. I understand the strategy behind it. I think they could have gone a little further, though, and maybe they will. Do you think they need to go a little further, make a little bit more of a cut?
Well, from my end, as a former Army intel guy, what I look at a lot is what are they doing with the military? What I do like, I like the pay increase for our military. I like that they're actually investing in weapon systems. Shipbuilding is huge. I mean, our shipbuilding capacity has fallen behind the Chinese Communist Party. So I do like to see that, this bill does have provisions for that, to make sure that our shipbuilding capacity is back on board. I like the F-47, the new fighter jet that President Trump unveiled along with Secretary Hegseth. I think that these are a lot of good things here. I think the important part is going to see what happens when the Senate takes a look at this and we have reconciliation and everyone kind of comes together. Are we going to be able to continue funding the important things, making sure our national defense is where it needs to be, and making sure a lot of these priorities that Americans voted for are actually carried out? So that's what I'm paying attention to. Of course, it's a huge bill. There's stuff in there that everyone will have disagreement with. But what I'm looking at is making sure that our military is going to be funded. And that Congress takes a hard, honest look and make sure there's not anything that's snuck into this bill that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting the way it plays out. Glad you brought up the military, though, because we got report that they've already met their recruiting goal, right? Like, they've actually, I believe, exceeded the recruiting goal. Now, the left is going to hate to hear this, because the left says that Hegseth and Trump are gutting the military. They're going to take the trans out. So if you take out the trans people, then all of a sudden you're not going to have a fighting force. Apparently, they thought that trans people made up our fighting force. Okay. But what do you think that says? Why do you think people want to sign on that dotted line there, and they want to potentially give their life to defend this country right now?
Yeah, well, just to give some context so people understand just how big of a deal this is. I mean, a few years ago, honestly, just a year ago, under President Biden, we had a major recruitment crisis. It was the largest deficit in terms of recruitment numbers that our country has seen since we had an all-volunteer force, since we got rid of the draft. I mean, that's how serious it was. We were down an entire division. That's like 15,000 soldiers. I mean, it's like I was stationed at Fort Stewart in the 3rd Infantry Division here in South Georgia, and that would be like all of Third ID gone. I mean, that's how serious the recruitment crisis was, and we were not ready for the next threat. Since President Trump's election, we have seen a major increase. People saying, look, I can finally trust that I can join the military, and I can join the military and actually fight for my country. I know we'll have a focused military. I know that I'm not going to be, subject to ridiculous transgender trainings every day. I can actually focus on my mission set. And for a lot of young people, some people want to kill bad guys. And that's actually our military is refocusing on what the core mission is, which is to deter, fight, and win our nation's wars. And so because of that change, now we're seeing recruitment numbers have a dramatic increase. And yes, and just today, the Army, and I shout out to Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, who's a friend of mine, has done an incredible work. The Army numbers have gone up significantly, and now they have met their recruitment goals for this fiscal year 4 months before the end of the fiscal year. I mean, this is remarkable stuff. And so I'm very heartened by that. I mean, I've testified on the Hill about this, about the recruitment crisis. I've been on national panels about this, along with then Congressman Mike Waltz. I've worked on a lot of these issues, and so seeing the results of this is really exciting.
Well, there was a big dust up yesterday because Secretary Hegseth removed the Harvey milk thing, I think off of a ship or something. There was a big dust up about that because he's like a gay icon, I guess. And it was like, oh my God, how dare you do this? This is, again, it's an attack on gays in the military. Just what is your quick response to that and all of the outcry over it?
Yeah, look, I mean, the bottom line is that Secretary Hegseth is refocusing the military, refocusing the Department of Defense on war fighting. And when you're laser focused on war fighting, all of the different things that are focused on a social agenda are being thrown out. And that's a good thing. And look, here's the thing. No one's saying that if you have some icon that you want to celebrate, that's fine. But the military is not the place for, one thing we heard all the time in the Biden administration was, diversity is our strength. In the military, actually, diversity is not the strength of the military. The strength of the military is our ability to deploy anywhere in the world and execute the mission of the United States of America and defend our nation. That's the mission. And so, you're going to see people holler and scream for the next 4 years about everything the military is doing. But I'm saying, look at the results, look at the recruitment numbers, look at the refocus on the mission. And that is what's going to end up winning the day.
Yeah, what I can't figure out is why some of this stuff was injected into the military in the first place. So people cry out, oh, why did you remove this? Why was it there in the first place? I don't understand. It doesn't belong there. People need to understand that there's different areas of your life that you come to work as one person, you're out on Friday night as another person, and never should those two really meet. Right? I'm not going to, on Friday nights, I like to go out and have a beer. I'm not going to come to the Outkick studio and crack open a beer because that would be inappropriate because it doesn't belong here. Right? But they don't get it because they're like, no, we must celebrate gay everywhere. We must celebrate DEI everywhere. This must be the focus. We must have this plastered everywhere so that people feel welcome. It's like that. To your point, that's not the point, though. That's not the point of the military. It's not to make you feel good. It's to go and do the job of the military. And that's why people are signing up, because that's what they want to do, right? If they wanted to celebrate a Harvey Milk, maybe they would go work at Starbucks, right? I just don't understand the insanity here.
Yeah. I see what you did there, by the way, Harvey Milk. So that was good. Yeah, the bottom line is that, when you have, under the Biden administration, you had all these political agendas that were impressed upon the military from the top down. These are not just soldiers that are waking up saying, oh, I want to, make my work about politics. No, it's from the top down. You had the Secretary Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin under the Biden administration, his, literally the first few weeks in office, they did a military-wide stand down because of the scourge of white supremacy in the military, which is, totally made up political stuff. He gave an unprecedented statement after Roe v. Wade was overturned. He gave a statement about abortion in the military, just stuff that's crazy, political stuff that was pushed on the military. And now when you have Secretary Hegseth coming in and just removing this political nonsense that shouldn't have been there in the first place, then the media says, oh, you're politicizing things. Why are you making this so political? Like, no. We're getting the military back to its core mission. The political stuff was put in by the prior administration. We got to weed that stuff out so that we can refocus.
Same thing when you're deporting people who are here illegally. It's like, no, you can't take them. They've been here for 15 years illegally. It's like, herein lies the point, right? You let them in. We're going to take them out. They shouldn't have been here. But then you cry because they're being removed, but they never should have been here in the first place. So once again, they're not getting it. I have to go to this hot take now. KJP, she's the latest one to what I believe is throw the former president just right under the bus and back up and go a few times, right? She's putting out a new book. It's called Independent. And so she made the announcement today that she's leaving the Democrat Party, right? With the book kind of made the announcement for her. Independent. Not a part of the Democrat Party anymore. So some folks are saying maybe this is her being disgruntled about her time in the Biden administration, having to, cover up the big lie. Maybe it's because she just wants to sell books and get some noise. What's your take on it? Do you care? The political affiliation of KJP?
I think it's a mixture of a lot of that. I think what you're seeing is everyone is rushing to save face. We saw the media do that with the book that Jake Tapper came out with recently about the Biden cover up, and all of a sudden the media is like, oh my gosh, we didn't see this coming. How we had no idea this cover up was going on, trying to save face. And now we see KJP doing the same thing, trying to say that she's like really a victim in all of these partisan and political issues of this day. No. You benefited from the system. She is someone who benefited from Democrat politics from the get-go. She built a career out of this. She built a career based off of legacy media bias against one side of the country. A lot of the kind of tension between the right and the left these days, a lot of it goes back to legacy media who refuse to report the truth. Well, she's someone who benefited from that and platformed that, and then deplatformed a lot of independent and conservative journalists who were trying to just get out the truth. So I don't buy this at all. This is totally a made up effort that she's doing, ex post facto, after the fact, to try to make herself look better. But I think people will see right through this. You think she'd have to roll out a little smoother. I mean, she just did a total just like hard launch of, oh, I'm an independent now. I mean, it's absurd. You did the bidding for a president who was barely functioning while in office. And you covered that up. You are part and parcel of the problem. So I don't want to hear this from KJP or anyone else from the administration. Just go ahead, go fade into irrelevance and take your L because it's been called out now.
Yeah, and she just assured us so many times that Joe Biden was an Olympian, and she just couldn't keep up with him. Well, if you can't keep up with Joe, what does that say about you? Last thing I want to talk to you about, a little pop culture stuff here. I don't know what your hot take is on the WNBA, but I was actually pretty surprised to see Skip Bayless call out the WNBA for kind of their avoidance of talking about the viral Brittany Griner clip of her mouthing what many of us think was effing white girl. Now, there are some that say she said something else, but maybe if we have a whole investigation into Angel Reese's claims of racism, maybe they want to look into this. Maybe they want to ask her about it, because it sure looks like she's mouthing effing white girl. But I was surprised to see Skip Bayless come out and say something about it. What do you think about the current state of the WNBA? Are they eating their own tail here?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing that people have issues with is, even if you aren't sure what she's saying, the fact that the story is just totally not even covered at all, where if it were anybody else, if Caitlin Clark had said anything under her breath that looked like she was saying something derogatory about anybody, any people group, it would have been top of the headlines. ESPN would have been running with this for days, weeks, right? I mean, so I think what a lot of people are picking up on is just the total unfair treatment that you see. And really just, it's all one way. And it's because, like a lot of major companies are just kind of captured by by this leftist ideology that says that, all blacks, even if they are successful, rich athletes, they are all still victims, right? And so therefore, we can't say anything negative about these people. They don't have agency on their own. They can't be held accountable for their actions. So we have to protect them and coddle them. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I hope that, maybe somebody will finally start calling this stuff out. I'd like to see at least Skip is doing that. Skip has some crazy takes. I'll go for a long time talking about some of his other takes I disagree with, but I'll give him some points on this one for at least calling that out. I think that was a good point.
What I also think is pretty wild here is that the WNBA, right? They are really making a point of being like, black women built this league, and they've made Caitlin Clark and others. They haven't made them, but I think implied that they have to pay homage to the black women that built the WNBA. Whatever. Okay. I think having to thank a race for doing something, I think, is a little silly, but whatever it is. So they're really vocal about that. And they're really vocal about racism and all this. Only one way, of course. But why is the WNBA not talking about all the female athletes of both races, but also black female athletes who are losing accolades, accomplishments, positions, scholarships to white men who are competing against girls in women's sports? Why are they not talking about that? If you have to have the WNBA pay homage to black women, why are you letting what, in all these cases are white men, white boys, take spots away from all girls, but also black girls? No discussion of that.
That is a great point, Tom. I mean, and that's exactly what happens. And what's interesting to me is that when you talk to some of these people behind closed doors, when they're off air, a lot of times some of these sports commentators, they do take issue with with men and women's sports, and they'll give you their unfiltered opinion. They'll tell you exactly, especially black men in general. I mean, I think this is ridiculous. But the problem is that when you have your career on the line, and when you think that you might not, get ESPN might not feature you as much as you would like to be featured, all of a sudden everyone just starts kind of just doing what they're told and towing the party line. No one wants to talk about it. We don't want to touch that. That's too controversial. Even though I imagine a lot of the viewership and the commentators themselves also take issue with this. And so it's a lot of disingenuous people that tend to do this kind of stuff all the time. But hopefully, I think what we're seeing a lot of, especially with a lot of independent media coming out, we're seeing a lot more people giving real opinions, and that's what people want to hear from more. Just kind of independent media a lot of times is the right way, especially when it comes to sports commentary.
Yeah, I don't know who they think is watching ESPN. I personally don't watch ESPN. I really only watch baseball on television, and I don't like the way that the ESPN folks do the baseball games. I don't particularly like it. I don't think they're the best at it. So there's that. But I really wish someone would have some integrity and stand up for female athletes. I guess we're going to be waiting a long time for the rest of mainstream media to jump on board with that. We covered everything today. Jeremy, I always appreciate your take, your opinion. I hope to see you on the Outnumbered couch one of these days very soon. Thank you, as always, for taking the time with me, and I always appreciate our back and forth.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks for having me.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Folks, they're really trying it again. As a pathetic way to distract from Joe, the auto pen, the decline, the big lie, the big cover-up, leftist media hacks are trying to convince you it's really President Trump who's declining. Oh boy, it's time for final thoughts. So the Democrats and the Democrats in media who pretend like they're just journalists, well, they're on the struggle bus right now, having to defend the big Biden cognitive decline, lie, and cover-up. So naturally, instead of fessing up about the lie, they're hoping they can instead push it on to President Trump. And they are so narcissistic and full of their own crap, they think the tactic is going to work. As noted earlier, Swalwell tried it on The Breakfast Club this week. Charlemagne point-blank asked about the integrity of the Democrat Party due to the big Biden lie, and Swalwell instead went on a tangent about cancer and healthcare. But he is far from the only one trying to get out of this lurch with lies, distractions, and diversions. The hacks of fake stream media are right there with him. They need some new material, though, because they tried this shtick in 2016, 2020, and 2024, and never landed because it's BS.
For 2 months, all the attention's been on the mental acuity of the previous president. And while the scrutiny is justified, what about the current president? After all, he's pushing a bad conspiracy theory that Joe Biden was executed in 2020 and replaced with a clone robot. Bill is back with us at the table. I cannot believe I just read those words.
I can't either, really.
Replaced with a robot?
Trump doesn't believe it. He's cynical. He has a lot of people who love conspiracy theories among his supporters. He pays no price for the supporters who don't believe any of that nonsense by tweeting it. And some people get revved up and decide Trump's our guy. So, he does it to provoke, obviously, us and all that. But
he
Trump does not believe it.
However, I will say he has
Trump is a cynical con man who knows how to speak to a lot of people. But the conspiracists are a big part of the Trump administration.
Well, he's a conspiracist. I mean, he has a long history going all the way back to the birther conspiracy. And
I have to ask, who's actually making the decisions? Who is actually running the country? Everybody wants to say Joe Biden wasn't running the country. I know for a fact he not only read his presidential daily brief, he was engaged in the meeting, he asked questions, and he gave directives. Donald Trump won't even bother to read the iPad.
Yeah, likely story there. They want you to believe the man who survived 2 assassination attempts, countless witch hunts, had to take on not 1 but 2 candidates in 2024 alone, and does almost daily rapid-fire press conferences on a wide range of topics, is facing cognitive decline. Really? Really? It really just further goes to show the left will do anything to avoid accountability. But I get it, though. They'd rather keep up the lie, they really didn't see the decline, than admit to it, own it, and tell you they lied to you because they thought they could prop Joe up for a few months longer, and they really, really wanted to avoid running coconut over there. What a sorry and sad place to be in. Bless your little hearts. Those are my final thoughts. Please be sure to tune in tomorrow live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Catch full episodes of the show on Outkick and on Fox Nation. Please do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Tomi Lahren is Fearless. From Nashville, God bless and take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more of my hottest takes, must-see conversations, and of course, my final thoughts, click here and make sure you subscribe here so you never miss a beat. I'll be here every weekday, and I hope you'll join me.